Pacific
Our
division.
division.
Okay.
Do we just want to
Vegas.
get we can just get the top 3 out of the way?
Yeah.
Let's just
Vegas
talk about
number 1.
honestly, let's talk about
Oilers
the
and
bottom.
Flames 2, 3, whatever order. Flames, Oilers, Oilers, Flames.
Yeah.
We could go on forever about them. So instead, we're just going to not talk about them. Let's talk about 4
4 5?
I guess. Yeah, let's talk about
Sure.
our 4-5. So I have Canucks, Kings 4-5. You have Kings, Kraken.
Yeah, and they could be interchangeable. The question mark for me is the Kraken. I believe the Kings are going to be up there trying to fight for a playoff spot. We saw it last year, even, right? Like, this is a team that did a solid rebuild in a relatively short amount of time, actually. It is very impressive, and you have to give the Kings props.
Yeah, the addition of Deneau is good. They got Arvidsson as well, and they got other players. Their young guys are going to be good. I think the Kings are going to be pushing for a playoff spot.
Absolutely. Sure. The question mark for me is the Kraken, because on paper, I like their goaltending. I like their defense. It looks good. The question mark is up front with the top 12 on forward. If they're able to produce, the Kraken definitely have a shot at making the playoffs, especially in this division. If not, it's not going to be great. But at the same time, I think they're a team still with $30 million in cap space. They can do whatever the hell they want. They could, honestly, if they want to spend it, they can go for Jack Eichel if they want.
Right? Oh, easily.
They also have, even with just this one draft, they have a decent prospect pool already. So
no, for sure. I think so. The issue for me with the Kraken is that from what I've seen from them in the preseason, they just don't have that chemistry yet. And game 1 is not going to, they're not just all of a sudden going to have this chemistry where the team is going to gel. Right. And as we talked about with one of the other teams, the Penguins, because Crosby and Malkin were going to be out to start the season.
Yeah.
The way you start the season is just so huge, because if you start the season bad, it creeps longer than it should, because you're like, oh my God, we're not going to be this good team. We still have 80 more games. We still have 75 more games of just losing, and it just weighs on you.
Yeah.
I talk like I've played in it full NHL season. I literally haven't.
Well, I mean,
also,
on EA, but
I don't lose at anything anyways, so I don't really know what I'm talking about.
My most recent Be a Pro is a 5-time Stanley Cup champion.
So to me, the Kraken, they just have question marks. And I haven't seen anything good from them. They've been playing in the preseason, I think, with pretty much their opening night roster, and then against like B level, like every other team's B teams, they've just been average. Like, yeah, they're putting up a fight, but it's their B team. It's a bunch of AHL guys. And then when they actually play in NHL team, they get shat on. Like, and again, I know it's preseason, but I just don't have a reason to like them. So that I have them at the bottom of the division, and it's just because I don't know. So I mentioned this off air as well, that a lot of people going into the Vegas's first season, a lot of people were like, oh, they're an expansion team, they're not going to do well. And then they got chemistry right away. They started winning games and they just took off, and people are like, oh man, these guys are good. And then now that the Kraken are entering in, people are like, oh, well, they could be like Vegas. They could just be really well. They could get chemistry. They could surprise the whole league. People are going to underestimate them, all this and that. And I like, just because Vegas did it doesn't mean Seattle's going to be able to do it. So I'm going back to they're an expansion team and not going to be good kind of point of view, but we'll see.
Vegas did have the additional unfortunate motivator of the shooting, right? Which is definitely what contributed to the chemistry, because the team started to hang out a lot more even, and, do things around the community and that kind of stuff. So they built up that camaraderie.
For sure.
A very special
and Vegas
season.
really rallied around them as well.
Exactly. So
like the city.
like I said, unfortunate circumstance, but I don't see the Kraken doing quite that as well. But so,
knock on wood for no unfortunate circumstances in Seattle.
Stranger things have happened, right? So
like I really don't want to count them out. I could look like a total fucking moron like 2 weeks from now if the Kraken are just like, no, here we go. We picked up Eichel. We picked up this guy. Like, let's go. Yeah. We're an offensive powerhouse, defensive powerhouse, good goaltending. Let's go. Let's tear up the league. But
now maybe okay. What do you want to just talk about the bottom 3, or do you just want to talk about?
Well, I mean, we really only have the rest. I have Sharks at 6 and Ducks at 7. You also have Ducks at 7.
Yeah.
With the Canucks at 6. So we were kind of all over the map with this one, but yeah, really not the Flames. Sorry, the Ducks we have low expectations for them. You think we could be better than the Sharks? I think we could be better than the Kraken. And that's it.
I don't know. The Sharks just continue to go downward, and part of it's just bit of the rivalry. I'd love to see that, but at the same time, I don't know. I think we can actually do better than the Sharks. The Canucks I have at 6th. The addition of Hughes and the addition of Hughes and Pettersson back at least are amazing for them and could potentially put them up there. But I feel like the Kings and the Kraken could really go. But then again, there's so many question marks. More of like, are they going to do kind of meh, or are they really actually going to play up high with like Demko and Horvat, Pettersson, and Hughes obviously as well, right? Because especially for those last two, they have those big contracts behind them. There's the pressure on them at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
And but I don't know, just the same thing as who are we talking about? The Stars. As much as there is that star power there and whatnot, the roster overall just doesn't scream contender for me right now.
No, that's fair.
Especially that back end for the Canucks. It's wishy-washy. But
yeah, my rationale for putting the Canucks higher is that because this is such a weak division, it's kind of going to be like Colorado and Vegas last year when they were playing in the weakest division.
Yeah,
and they're just going to get, I don't want to say 3 points, but more points from like the California teams and. Aside from maybe the Kings and potentially the Kraken. Like, I just think that even though they're kind of that mediocre team, they're going to do really well against some, I guess you play more than just the teams in your division this year. So it's a weird thing I ought to think through, but I don't know. I just think that because they're going to play teams in the Pacific and Central more, like even some of the bad teams, I think that they'll compete against teams like the Oilers, Flames, Wild, Jets that are up there and going to be contenders, but they're not going to. And then they're going to do really well against the bottom teams. It's just they're going to lose to the top teams, obviously. So I think that's what's going to put them in the middle. I don't know if that made sense at all.
A little bit. It made enough sense at least that it's comprehensible.
Yeah.